I am live. Oh my God, this is all very new technology to me. So, welcome everybody that is watching this video live. Thank you so much for coming and watching. Thank you. Welcome to my channel. I have to let you guys all know that this unfortunately is only streaming on Facebook because YouTube had the great idea of saying that we couldn't stream live until 24 hours from now. That meant that YouTube was not available for this one. But I am going to be posting this video on YouTube after, which you're going to be able to watch it. And I am so excited. But if you are here on Facebook, thank you for joining me. So today we're going to be talking about overcoming fear and what fear is, and perhaps a couple of steps that you could use for whenever you're having or experiencing fear in your life. But before that, I would love to invite you guys to follow my page, to follow my website, so badassmindset.net, to follow my Facebook on Ursula Keith, as well as my YouTube, Ursula Keith. I am inviting you guys to participate in here. And lastly is my Instagram. If you haven't seen it, if you haven't watched me there, it's your badass mindset coach. It's actually shown right below, and I love posting about mostly motivational. Obviously there's posts about me, but there is motivational quotes, there's motivational just on what I write on each post, because truly my channel is to motivate you. With that said, we're going to be talking about fear. This is what we're here for. Here I'm like just rambling, but don't mind me. It feels a little nerve-wracking because I've never done this before. I've never been live, but this is great. It's actually pretty cool. I invite anybody that is here watching to ask me questions. I'm going to go through my speech, but I would love to hear any questions, anything that you want to ask me. I am here. This is why we're doing the lives. And man, I just keep saying, like, I'm just going to start and I don't start, but I'm going to be doing lives like this every Wednesday. Well, every 2 Wednesdays. And one is going to be in English and the other one is going to be in Spanish. So if you only speak Spanish and you don't understand this live, don't worry, because there's going to be one that will be full on Spanish and one that's in English. That way I can help and I can motivate 2 audiences at the same time. How incredible is that? Okay, with that said, let's get started. Okay, what is fear? Let's start with what is fear. Fear is false evidence that is appearing real. Okay, let me say that again. False evidence appearing real. That means that your brain is creating this evidence that appears, quote unquote, real to you, but that it isn't. I recently had one of my coaching clients that she had a story in her head of something that she was very fearful of. Once she experienced it and we talked about it, she realized that 1, it wasn't that bad, and 2, it ended up being okay. It was actually okay. Our brains are designed to look for these things that could go wrong. And with that, I want to talk to you about the brain and the brain war that is going on in our crazy head. We have 2 brains. They call it the ancient brain and the mastery brain. The ancient brain, it comes from when we were in the, let's say, cave era. That means that imagine at that time, your brain was looking for everything that could possibly go wrong, because cavemen had to really protect themselves from everything. That meant that they had to look for everything that could possibly go wrong, and if they didn't look for it, they could die. Therefore, our brain has evolved to continue to look for those. It has a negative bias. With this negativity bias, it literally looks for everything that can go wrong. If you choose to get outside of your comfort zone, it will find everything that could go wrong so that you don't do it. With that said, there's another brain. They call it the mastery brain. The mastery brain is, how do I say this? Is the brain that the, let's say, scientist is the brain that helps you do like dream bigger. It has higher thinking. It makes you learn quicker. It increases your level of productivity. And this brain is the one that pushes you to be a little more courageous. And all of that comes from your, let me just read this because I don't want to just mistakenly say something else. So it comes from your prefrontal cortex. This is your brain right here. And this is the one that pushes you. But then you have the brain in the back that tells you, no, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't go ahead and do that because no, you need to stay safe. You need to stay safe. So your ancient brain and your mastery brain, they begin into really enter a conflict. That means that they go into a war. The ancient brain senses that you're leaving your comfort zone, the known. So it gets fired up. It tells you, like, no, 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 what are you doing? Like, stop, don't do that because you're going to get hurt. But it doesn't, like, for you to grow, for you to change, for you to honestly grow as a person, it's very important that you go through this exercise, that you go and listen to your mastery brain. And when this fear is happening in your brain, when this fear is like you're experiencing it in your body, you develop a hormone called cortisol. This cortisol hormone is something that you get released, and it literally begins destroying your intentions. Your perception narrows, your breathing grows much more shallow, and you come to a position where you either have to fight or flight. Fight or flee. That means that you either want to fight for it or you just want to go. And honestly, most of the time we just go. There's another, so the three actions for fear would be fight, flight, and freeze. Most of them we just either fight or we flee or we flight. I can't say it. But anyway, so you either fight or you go. Or you freeze. Sometimes it's so scary to do something that you completely panic and you freeze and you don't do anything. But what if you were just to fight against it? What if you could just fight against that fear and you can move ahead? Because our higher thinking, what we will call the mastery brain, it wants us to evolve and to grow to to do this masterful work. But if we don't allow our brain to do that, that means that we're just going to stay where we are and you're not going to evolve or you're not going to do anything that you truly want. We need to have, honestly, the courage to move past the alarms, the whistles, the everything that says, oh, what's happening, I don't want it. You have to have the courage to literally move that, even when your ancient brain brings it up. Even when that happens, you need to be willing to be able to walk out and walk away and move past it. It takes true courage to feel this terror of fear and move past it in order to have true personal and professional growth. Is like we need to move on. Like I'm encouraging every person in this live that is watching this video, that you need to go through this exercise of experiencing fear. And then once you experience it, really challenge it and be like, is this really happening? Is this really pushing me to where I like, is this really happening? Or is this something that my mind and my brain is creating? Because that is exactly what you need in order to grow. And you won't experience fear if you're living a comfortable life. If you're living a comfortable life, I can tell you right now that the fear that you'll experience daily will be very minimal. Because, as I said, your life will be created in a way that is comforting and that it doesn't push your limits. But it is the time when you start increasing it's like you have an elastic band. And we call it elastic banding because you're like stretching your elastic band. When you're stretching your elastic band, your brain will do everything and anything to prove you how you shouldn't do it. Now, what I'm encouraging you to do is it really true? And that is exactly what you need in order to grow and truly become your badass self. So with that said, there's multiple fears that you could experience. There's fear of failing, there is fear of succeeding, there is fear of judgment, fear of not knowing what's going to happen, is fear of the unknown, fear of not having enough. And the one that I really find interesting is the fear of missing out, because this is a marketing strategy that they use in order for us to take action on something, because you don't want to miss out on whatever the opportunity that is being presented with you. Therefore, you just want to act. Oh my God, there's only like they did a sale and it's gonna end in 10 minutes. Oh my God, I should act on it because I am gonna miss out. And what I'm encouraging you, whenever you experience fear like this, and it's freezing you to act on your dreams, it's freezing you to, it's telling you all the reasons why you shouldn't and why you're not good enough and why you can't do the work. What if you could go back and say, hey, wait a minute, I'm actually good enough. Wait a minute, I have evidence from the past that I was capable of doing this. I want to tell you a story. I want to tell you a story because who would I be to tell you to do all of these courageous things if I didn't do something for myself? I feared multiple things, and sometimes they have stopped me from doing things that I wanted in my life. I recently changed and moved into doing what I'm doing of my badass mindset coach full time. And when I handed in my resignation letter at work, at first I was very excited. And then a week later, I had a full on panic attack. Yeah, full on panic attack. I couldn't breathe. I was breathing heavy. It was just like, what's going to happen? Like, what am I going to do? What did I just do? Because I literally left something that was so comfortable in my life, something that made me happy, something that was comfortable. I was getting pretty okay money. I was living a comfortable life. And I suddenly said, you know what? I don't want this anymore. I want to follow my dream. I want to follow that makes me better. I want to follow that makes me a better person. I want to follow that helps me motivate people. I want to follow the thing that makes me change people's lives. And I don't do that at work. I had a full on panic attack. So I had two options when I experienced it. The first option was for me to, one, I had to allow it. I had to allow that feeling to come up, and I was just, okay, I'm just going to let it be. It's fine. And I lived it. But the option was either I stayed like that and I quit and I said, no, you know what, give me my job back. I don't want to do this. Or the other one is confront it and say, hey, it's actually not that bad. It's actually something that I can do. I have evidence that I've been doing this part-time with my other business and I've been a success. Why can I not do it full-time? And this is where your mindset is important, that you've taken some sort of action and you've also allowed yourself time and the bandwidth to become successful. Because once you do that and your mind starts questioning, hey, you shouldn't be doing this, you can go back and say, hey, I've been doing this. I've done a lot of courageous things in my life. Why can I not do this? For those who do not know, I moved from Mexico City to Canada when I was 18 years old, all on my own. My mom stayed in Mexico and I moved. I decided to do the courageous thing and moved. Did I have fear of what could happen? I did. I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know how my life was going to change, but I just knew that was what I could do. Therefore, if I did such a big change in my life, if I did something like that for me before, why couldn't I do it now? Why couldn't I decide to do this for myself? And this is what I like to motivate. It's like, who would I be to tell you to change your life, to go for what you want, to push yourself, if I didn't do that for myself, if I didn't push myself? So in that moment where I was having a panic attack, it's either you go full on, Ursula, and you prove to yourself that you can do this, or you let not only yourself down, but a lot of people down that could possibly benefit from your story, from you, and just be, and from your amazing energy. That is what I like to do when I'm on my, when you see my YouTube channel. I also want to be honest. It's all not pretty. It's not always pretty, and it's not always something that, hey, I want to show up today. Maybe you don't want to show up today. Maybe you don't want to do the things today. But what if, what if you just did it one more day? What if you showed up one more day? Like, what is the action that you can take today in something that you want, that is for the next 24 hours? What is the action that you can take, that you say, hey, I'm going to take this action, and it doesn't matter what's the fear that I'm having regarding blah, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do it. And then what is the time? What is the time that you're going to allow yourself to become successful? Because we're so used to having everything like this. I just want to become successful tomorrow. I just want to have $1 million tomorrow. Oh, might as well just play the lottery and not do any of the work and become successful. But what if you allowed yourself to become successful? If you were to plant a seed for a flower, you planted that seed, you don't expect to get the flower tomorrow. You have to show up. You need to water it. You need to keep nourishing it. You need to keep showing up, because that plant is going to get roots and it's going to grow, and you're not going to even see the progress in there. But you know that one day there's going to be a flower that'll come out from the seed that you planted. That is exactly the same as how it happens with your business, with growing a YouTube channel, with growing perhaps your Instagram, with growing, even me doing lives right now. I need to allow myself time to become successful, because let's say I don't have a lot of questions that are being asked right now, which is fine. But one day it will, because one day people will feel comfortable and will see me and be like, hey, I want to ask her questions because I like what she has to say. So I am allowing myself to become successful. Then also I need to take the action. If I was too scared of being in a life and nobody here, I wouldn't have taken the action. But I am putting myself to these uncomfortable actions in order to become successful. And that is what I'm asking you. What is the action that you're going to take in the next 24 hours? And then when you have the action, when you have the time, when truly you have both, your mindset is going to be able to look at the evidence that both your mindset and your time brings, and realize that indeed you are capable of achieving anything. When I started my coaching business, I didn't study to be a coach. I studied to be an engineer. Honestly, if I went back and I couldn't go back. If I didn't, no, wait a minute. If I couldn't go back and see, okay, wait a minute, I graduated as an engineer on my own. I got my job by myself. I got my apartment by myself. I lived by myself. I created my business by myself. I moved from Mexico to Canada at 18 years old. I did all of these things. Damn. I can definitely do coaching, because coaching is just having powerful, transformative conversations, and I might as well just have a PhD in that. With that said, it's just, you just have to find the evidence that you're capable of doing anything that you desire. I hope all of that kind of makes sense. I hope that answered some of your questions you had about fear. Fear is something that is being created in your mind, and most of the time is not real. Most of the time are stories that you are creating and that your brain is just manufacturing, and they're not real. Try to look at the facts. And even if the facts say no, just go for it. Because the moment that you feel the fear is because you're getting outside of your comfort zone. And that's what I'm inviting you today. So if you guys haven't done so, make sure that you subscribe to everything. So that includes my YouTube channel, that includes my Instagram as your badass mindset coach. I apologize. I'm like saying the names so quickly that they're like popping here. But yeah, so my YouTube channel, my Facebook, they're the same name, Ursula Keith. You can find me on both. And on my Instagram, your badass mindset coach. And if you need to talk to somebody about something that you're struggling with, but you don't know how to deal with in terms of fear, maybe you just can't look past it and you need somebody to see it clearly, because they're kind of stepping out of your situation and can see what is actually happening, and perhaps see that really what's limiting you is your own mind. Because Your mind is the one thing that can make you or break you. Just to conclude as a thought, I know that there hasn't been any, like, a lot of questions, but don't let fear of what could happen make nothing happen. That is what I want to conclude to you tonight, is don't let fear of what could happen make nothing happen, because you need to show the world what you're capable of. And I would hate to see you just hiding in the background just because you don't think you're good enough. What if you are? What if you're capable of achieving anything you want? With that said, well, thank you so much for watching. I've spoken for about 20 minutes on my own. But this has been an amazing experience. I am hoping I can see you in the next, so then in 2 weeks, with the YouTube that is going to be done, YouTube video on Facebook Live that is going to be on Spanish. And it will be good for people that don't necessarily speak English. And I'm excited to start getting this Spanish, or talking in Spanish, and really sharing my story that way, because I haven't done it a lot. And same, I'm going to have my videos in English, but also my videos in Spanish. So there's a lot of marketing changes that are happening, that are changing in my business, but I am super excited for what's to come. Yeah, with that said, you guys have a wonderful night, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye.